Hello, hello. Welcome to this episode of the Rogers Radio Podcast. Today is a different kind of podcast because I have a birthday. And when you hear this, it'll be the day after my birthday. So my birthday is on January 10th, and I've had a few people asking me to kind of turn the tables and get to know me a little better. And I've sat, across this table from many people and gotten to know them. And today the tables are turning, and I have Justin here to interview me and ask me all the questions you will see because, and I'll get into that, but you will see he has questions in his hand, and I have no idea what they are. I have no idea what questions are about to be asked. But as I was thinking about recording this today, and I thought, how cool it is, and I didn't even realize this, that Justin is the first person that I had on the Rogers Radio Podcast. And this is also the first podcast that is video recorded on camera, which is super exciting. And this is the first podcast that the tables have turned and I'm being interviewed. So thank you for being the first of everything.
I like the first. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. No, I didn't even think about that. I was the first on the podcast, and now here I am interviewing you for your first time.
Yes.
And Alyssa, give her some credit because a lot in my time interviewing people, most of the time I do a pre-interview interview.
Yeah.
Just to get them loosened up, okay. And I ask them silly questions before we get into the deep stuff. And so Alyssa's not even gotten that. So this is just coming right off the cusp. But you've got a lot of questions from people here in the company.
Oh, God.
So I'm going to kind of mix it up. I've got some questions for you. And we actually have names, so you're gonna know who asked you these questions. So there's some dumb ones you get to go to.
I'm so nervous.
Don't be. It's gonna be fun. So first off, I asked you this beforehand. You're fine with me saying your age.
Yeah.
You're gonna be 34.
Yes.
So a simple question I'd like to know is: in your 34 years, you've done a lot. I mean, I've known you for a very long time. I mean, you've done a whole lot of living. What would you say is the single biggest takeaway in your 34 years on this earth?
Oh my gosh. So literally, I kind of talked about it last week on the podcast, and I feel like I've always known my whole life that I wanted to achieve a lot, and I just never knew what that was. And I remember being at a student at Radford, and I was sitting on what we called the stoop, and it was these 2 steps in front of my apartment complex, and I just remember sitting there, and I was about to graduate. I'm like, what am I going to do? Where is my life going to go? How am I going to make this happen? I could see what I wanted, but I didn't really know what that was. And I was about to have to move home because I didn't have a job, and I just didn't know where it was going. And I think the number one takeaway I've had and I've just discovered this over the last year, is you're never truly going to know your purpose because your life takes so many twists and turns, and you're never really going to know what's ahead, but just take it day by day and allow those twists and turns to take you to where you're supposed to be and not try to force it.
I love that. No, that's so true. I think so many people have this idea of like, I've got to do just this one thing and there's nothing but, and then they miss out on so many opportunities. And I think that's awesome.
I never thought I'd be in the HVAC business.
Me either.
Or sitting right here today.
Me either. And it's funny how it takes you from one avenue to another. Yeah. But if you go with the flow and you take opportunities, you just never know where you're going to end up.
Absolutely.
That's some sage advice. So if you're listening out there, maybe you can apply that to your life.
Yeah.
Now we get to the fun stuff. And going back real quick, it's funny because I remember you calling me your first year at college, your first week or two.
Yeah.
You went through the same thing a lot of people did. You called me and you were like, I just don't think I can do this. I'm coming home.
Yeah.
And I was like, Alyssa, you're going to be fine. You're going to do some great things. And now
it's so
look like
true.
12 years later.
And you just got to trust it, and you got to go with, what's going on, and embrace change, because it's always there and it's not always going to work out. And I had so many times that I was calling you and I was calling my parents, like, I can't do this, and I still have those times.
Oh,
to
absolutely.
this day, where it's like, what am I doing and why am I doing this? And just knowing that there is a bigger purpose and there is a bigger plan, and I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be right now.
Absolutely. And that's a good feeling too, to feel like you're where you belong.
Yes. Yes.
So we got some fun questions here, and to start out with, some of these are not deep or insight, they're just some interesting ones. So
Okay.
Dylan,
Okay, Dylan.
our follow-up coordinator, asked,
Shout out, Dylan.
what's your favorite movie of all time?
So, fun fact about me, I'm not a huge movie person. I'm one of those people that when I watch a movie one time, I'm good with not watching it ever
No
again.
kidding.
Yeah, I never feel like I have to rewatch a movie. But one that has really stood out to me, and I watched it on a plane last year, is King Richard. And it's about Serena and Venus Williams and their story.
Will
and
Smith was in that.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So good. Like, I would watch that movie again. And I don't say that about any movie.
I
So
need to check that out.
it's a very good movie.
I've got a Fight Club DVD that doesn't work anymore, so that tells you how opposite we are when it comes to movies.
Joey's the same way. And like, you're watching Top Gun for the 50th time.
That's a good choice. That's a good choice. So Dane, and this is so fitting. Shout out Dane first.
Dane
and if
first.
you know Dane, you know he's been a musician his whole
Yeah.
life. A very talented musician, and he says, "Name your top 3 musical artists."
Oh, so artists. I mean, I guess this person would be. I'm a huge DJ Khaled fan. Huge. Love DJ Khaled. God did. Another one. All I do is win, win, win. Like, I love him.
That's like your anthem. Like, I know you love that song. But all I do is
love
win, win.
that song. I love DJ Khaled so much. And then I love NSYNC. Would that be considered?
Yeah, they're musical artists. I don't see why not.
Their life. They're forever.
Some fads you never grow out of, right? Like
Ever.
you were dancing around to them as a kid. Now as
Yes.
an adult, like you still dance around to
Yeah.
them.
I mean, come on. How could you not love them? And then, this is so crazy. You're going to be like, what the heck? And I love, let's see, Lil Jon and the East Side Boys.
Well, of
I am
course.
crunk.
That was the anthem of our
Yeah.
teens and early
Yeah.
20s. Yep.
Yeah. So, that's my music taste.
When Let's Go
Give me all the
comes on,
crunk
I
music.
still go crazy.
Yeah.
Except for now, it's in my basement with the volume low, so I don't wake
Yeah.
up my kid. But still, I go crazy on the inside.
Yeah.
So Durante wants to know if you could take one trip anywhere, no limitations, where would you go?
I've always wanted to go to Italy. So I'd love to go to Italy. And I want to go to Napa Valley. That's like kind of my bucket list trip. I'd love to explore Napa Valley and
Yeah.
drink all the wine. And so that would be really cool. But truly my favorite place to be ever in the world is on the couch watching Netflix. So that would be a dream for me.
Like if you just had a few days where you could just live on the couch.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes.
But work and kids, it kind of
Yeah.
interfere with that.
Yes.
But that's
All the
awesome.
time.
What is it about Italy that makes you want to go there? Is it the culture, the food?
Yeah, I have seen I see it on TV, and I'm sure it's different than what you see on TV. But other people I follow on social media, they've gone and it looks really great. And I just love Italian food, and I'd like
Yep.
to see the difference between, because American Italian is totally different.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So I'd like to see it. I've been to Ireland. That was really great. I would go back there in a heartbeat.
That's on my list. I'd love
Yeah.
to go to Ireland.
That would be really great. So those are some places, but I don't know. I like the U.S. too. So, just send me anywhere in the U.S. and I'll go.
It's like I'm pretty fond of where I am.
Yeah, yeah.
So this one's getting a little more serious here, but Bruce Terrell wants to know, what is the most challenging part of running an HVAC business?
Oh, there are so many challenges, so many great things, but so many challenges too. So I think a big challenge for me is I feel so grateful every single time that a new team member comes in here. I feel so grateful for that, and I just can't believe it, because I remember when we started and we didn't have, it was pretty much just me and Joey, and to see where we are today, I take that very seriously. And so something that keeps me up at night is laying there just hoping that we are providing what we need to for everyone, and to making sure that they feel like they're at a place where they can grow and accomplish whatever they want to accomplish. And I take it so seriously, and I can't be there for everyone all the time, and I know that, but I want people to feel like they can come to me. And so I think that is one of the hardest things for me, is just making sure that we have an environment that people want to come to and enjoy being at, and they're happy here, because it's not easy. It's not for the faint of heart. It's not for, everyone, and I like to say that, and I never sugarcoat that. And so the ones that stick with it, with us, it just means so much to me. And I just want to make sure they have everything they could ever want and more.
And I think that's kind of a theme word of ours here, is growth.
Yeah.
Is growth, both, growing the business, growing professions, growing positions. Like, we're constantly talking about growth.
Yeah. And it's just important to me. I want to provide that to everyone, and I want to make sure I'm providing them what they need to get there. And so it's very, very hard for me to stay on track with that and make sure that I'm providing that to everyone.
Absolutely. So I think it makes a difference when you go to work, happy workers, unhappy workers. If you go to work knowing you're working towards something, then there's fulfillment there. Whereas if you feel like you're just going to do the same old thing day in and day out, and I know that you guys tell everybody when they start, you told me 2 years ago, like, we want you to want to grow.
Yeah.
We want you to want to move up. Like, we don't want you to come in and get complacent and think, like, this is
true.
all I'll ever do. So I think that makes a big difference.
And it's also hard, too, because, Joey and I, this is our life. I mean, we knew that going into it. I mean, we have it's not like, he does this and I have a job somewhere else, or vice versa. And, if something were to happen, we could fall on that salary or whatever. Like, this is our life. This is our livelihood. Yeah. And we're super passionate about it. We're passionate about our team. We're passionate about our customers. We're passionate about growing this. And so it's sometimes hard, because it is our life, and understanding that, when we bring people in, it's not necessarily that situation.
Right.
And so having the passion that we have, and getting people to understand that passion and feeling that, and wanting to be part of that.
Absolutely.
Can be tough too.
Well, Danielle asked an interesting question. What do you see yourself doing if you weren't VP of Rogers?
Oh, Danielle. It was always a goal of mine. I graduated Radford with a corporate and professional communication degree, and it was, a goal of mine to climb the corporate ladder. And I wanted to go as far as, it would take me. And I always imagined myself in the corporate world. And a lot of people can say, the corporate world, the cubicle life, and this and that.
Right. Yeah.
I loved it. Yeah. I'm not going to lie. When I was at ABB, prior to being here, now Hitachi, I was, climbing that ladder, and I loved that environment. I, was in a cubicle, and I was growing, and I loved it. And so I really think that I would still be pursuing that corporate ladder and going as far as I could there.
Oh, that's awesome. And it might, speak on why you are so adamant that hiring people or having people that want to grow, because that was kind of your mindset in your previous company.
For sure.
It was like, I want to get in here and go grow. So now you bring people in, like, you want to provide that type of environment for people.
100%, because, and it's hard because in the corporate world, they have it pretty much together. Like, there's a plan, and you can see where you can grow and what you can do. And so if I'm doing something, today in a corporate environment, I can look and say, well, where would I want to go? And there's someone there.
Right.
And so it's a transition coming to somewhere like this where we don't have the org chart all planned out. I have no idea where this company is going to go. And but to be able to provide those opportunities and tell people it may not be here right now, but it will be. And we'll make this. And it may be something totally different than you ever thought you'd do, but we can provide that opportunity too.
And we've seen a lot of that with employees coming in for one role, starting here, and then working up, and then being given an opportunity to move up or to go somewhere a little bit different than what they were doing, but it's a growing opportunity. So.
100%.
So Dale says, shout out for Dale Sanders. You've probably, if you've used our service, you at some point have probably had Dale at your house.
Yes, Dale, for sure.
Dale says, what specific part of Rogers and your role at Rogers makes you the most excited to get out of bed in the morning?
Okay.
That's pretty good, Dale. I'm impressed, man.
My favorite thing to do since I've been here, and I will tell anyone this, I love sending offer letters, and I love giving raises. It's my two favorite things, and I love interviewing people. So literally, if I could, I would bring in every single person that applies here and interview them. I would do interviews all day long. I love learning about people, and when they're in here, I love sending the offer letter. It makes me so excited because it's a life-changing moment, and they're trusting in us, and we're trusting in them, and I just know what it's like to receive offer letters for something you really want and you're so excited about, and sharing with your family and making that known and leading up to that is just so exciting to me. And then giving raises. I mean, who doesn't like that?
I was going to say, so back to the raises.
I love changing people's lives.
So back to the raises. Your birthday is coming up. Well, your birthday is here. And since you love giving raises, I'm willing to, let you give me a raise if that will make your birthday better.
I'll have to take a look at that
and
see what I can do there, Justin.
Well, that's awesome. It's awesome that, what gives you the motivation, what makes you happy is ultimately making other people happy.
100%. Yes.
Being able to provide that. It's kind of like a mom-kid thing, right? Like when you have a kid, you really want to provide your kid like fun things to do with memories and things that make them happy. So as kind of a business owner, mother type, it makes sense that, you get joy out of being able to provide those opportunities for your work kids. We'll call them.
I'm very much like that at home too. I love doing stuff like that. So, yeah. Well,
Maddie, who actually, shout out to Maddie, worked really hard to get all these questions together for me because I was going to just, come up with them off the top of my head, but so Maddie really helped out. She says, what was it like coming back to our small town after living in Florida?
Yeah, so many may not know, I was born in Florida and moved to Halifax County when I was 7. So I'm pretty much from here, but still have family in Florida and have always traveled there to visit, and I love Florida. I am a Florida girl at heart. Love the state so much. If you ask me if I had to move anywhere, it would be Florida. So I spent my entire life asking my parents why in the hell they moved to South Boston, Virginia.
Compared to Florida,
yeah, especially every time we would visit Florida. I'm like, why did we move to South Boston, Virginia? And then I spent, my entire high school years and school years trying to get back to Florida. And I just told this story to Joey not long ago. So my whole school career here at Halifax County, I would tell my parents, I'm going to college in Florida. I'm going to college in Florida. And so I went and I applied to many colleges in Florida and did not get into any colleges in Florida. And so I got into Radford, which is great, and it was a great experience. I spent all of my years at Radford saying, I'm going to work in Florida. I'm going to get a job in Florida.
Find some way to Florida.
Yes. And so I graduated college and applied to all kinds of jobs in Florida and did not get any jobs in Florida. And all of the opportunities opened up here in Halifax. And so now I need to grow this business to get big enough to move to Florida.
Well, that circles back around to what you said, though, about not fighting, like life was not throwing you the opportunities you thought you wanted. and yet you went with it, and then, it all worked out, and who knows, it might just be that you were always meant to go back to Florida. There was just a longer road you had to take to get to Florida.
And I mean, I get to visit there, and I have family there, and I get to experience it, but I really do love that state, and I do feel like I'm supposed to be here right now, and if everything wouldn't have led me back here all of this time, I wouldn't be with Joey. I wouldn't be here, sitting here right now. And so it does all work out, and it all, everything happens for a reason. But that's what it's like for me not living in Florida.
Life don't always give you what you want, but a lot of times if you pay attention, it'll give you what you need.
You just have to listen to what's going on around you and really feel that. And I've never been I just feel like I've always listened to what I'm supposed to be doing, and it's led me to great things because I allow that to happen, and I don't force anything.
Absolutely. So, Lena asked, what is your favorite holiday, and who do you spend it with?
So, my favorite holiday is Valentine's Day, and it always has been. And
your favorite is Valentine's Day.
My favorite holiday
I've never heard that. No kidding.
Is Valentine's Day. It's always been my favorite holiday. I love love. I love hearing about other people's stories, and that's the day that you always hear about people's love stories. So I love it so much that me and Joey got married on Valentine's Day. So it's also our anniversary. And so I spend it with him and everyone here because this is where I am all the time. So I spend it with all the people I love.
Absolutely. That's awesome. So you don't, most people, I think it's cliche, like Christmas. Sometimes they'll say Halloween, poor Thanksgiving. I don't think I've ever had anybody say that was their favorite. But Valentine's Day is not one you hear a lot, so that's cool.
It's my absolute favorite. I get super excited. I am not huge on any of the other holidays. Like, I definitely celebrate other holidays, but I have more Valentine's Day decorations than I do Christmas.
That's all. I bet you're excited now when you walk in the stores and you see that Valentine's Day
so
stuff
great.
is already available.
It's like, I love love. Here it is.
I'm rolling my eyes. You're like, yes.
Yeah.
So Maddie actually asked another question, which is a good one. So how do you balance one of the fastest growing companies in our area and still being a full-time mom?
Oh, a lot of sacrifices. And Riley has been part of the business from the day she was born, or even before she was born. And so she doesn't really know any different. She knows that we work hard, we work long hours, but she's never seen us not do that. And her first 6 months of life, she was in the office with us. And I was doing all the things, answering the phones and making everything happen. And she was right there. And so as she's getting older, it can be a little more challenging because she's a little more vocal and she knows what's going on. But I wouldn't have it any other way. And I don't want this to sound bad, but it's just very true. I'm not the type of mom that compares myself to other moms and what they're able to do with their children and what they're not, or whatever it may be. I know that I always say I'm the resource provider in our family.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I may not necessarily be the soccer mom that's, bringing the snacks and and planning like all of this stuff. And I'm not the one that's baking the cupcakes until 12 a.m. I'm going to Food Line and I'm getting the cupcakes and taking them to school. Like that's the kind of mom I am. But if she wants to do something and she shows interest in something, I will provide all of the resources she ever needs to make that happen and for her to try things. And, just recently she wanted to play tennis. How many 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds come to you and say they want to play tennis? But it's like, okay, well, let's try it. And I started tennis lessons with her and got someone to teach her how to play tennis. And so I'm not the one that's out there playing with her, but I'm providing the person to help her with that.
Absolutely.
And so it's tough to manage it all sometimes, but it's just been something where she's just going to be with us and she's going to see what it's like and how to work hard. And, in a couple of years, hopefully she's answering phones and learning that side of the business. So we manage it, but she's very much involved.
She is. Well, I mean, anytime after school, if you're here in the office, you're going to see her.
Yeah.
Parades, you're going to see her. Weekend events, you're going to see her. So, I mean, it's good that she gets to come along. It's not like she's being left to go do these things.
Right.
She gets to be along for the ride, too.
Yeah.
And that's ultimately, with a kid, they just want your time. And then you're still able to provide that, but also to run the company. So, I think you do a
And I never really looked at myself like as this, but Lindsay and Maddie both, we were at the parade, and Riley was in the back of the truck, and we're walking behind it, and she's dancing and like doing her waves, and she's just getting it, and I'm like in the background, and I don't even realize I'm doing it, but I'm in the background, and I'm like, get it, girl, you go, girl, you got this. Yeah, girl, go, girl. And they're like, you're like her hype man. And I'm like, you know what, I really am. Like, that's just how I am with her. Anything she does, I'm like, you go. Yes, that's right. Like, who runs the world? She says, girls. And I'm like, yeah, that's right. So I'm just like her hype man. Yeah. And that's how I'll always be. So that's
awesome. Yeah. That's awesome. If your parents your hype person, you really can't get a better hype person. So that's awesome. What is your, let's see, this is from Kayla. What is your life motto or phrase that you live by? It's probably something DJ Khaled said.
Another one.
Or Rick Ross.
Yeah. We the best. Okay, so my motto that I live by is everything happens for a reason. And truly, if I look back on my life, everything that has happened for a reason. Whether it's good, bad, indifferent, it is for a reason. And it all happened so I could be here today.
Absolutely. I like that. And that's like the theme, this whole podcast.
It is.
It's like everything. This podcast theme has been like, everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
So there's your takeaway. Everything happens for a reason.
There you go.
So we're getting towards the end here, but we've got a few. If you could change one thing in your life and redo, what would it be? Asked Lindsay.
Ooh, Lindsay, that's a good one. What would I change that has happened in my life? Oh my. Well, I wish I wouldn't have been as hard on myself in certain moments. And I wish I wouldn't have been as hard on other people in certain moments. I think I have really progressed as a leader over the years. And 5 years ago when we started this, I was not the leader that I am today. And I'm not necessarily proud of the leadership qualities that I had then. And I was just young. I didn't know what I was doing. And so there are a lot of situations that I've run into throughout the business and situations that I've handled that I wish I would have handled differently.
Right.
And so I would definitely change the way I approached situations back then. And I also, I didn't know what it was like to be a mom in a lot of situations. I mean, the work was my life. And so I wish I would have had more compassion for people that were trying to manage it all.
Trying to juggle kids and work and do as good as they can at both. Yeah, and that's how you learn, though. I mean, it's like you hate that but because you've been through those situations, you learn and you get better. I mean, we constantly learn and grow from mistakes, And
I mean, full disclosure, we have lost great people, through this journey. And it's never because it all comes down to, and Joey and I will always say, it's always our fault. We are in charge of the culture here and making sure that it's a great place to be. And I take that very seriously. And so when we do lose people, whether they're going to other HVAC companies or they're going and pursuing something totally different, it's like, what could I have done different to keep them here? And looking back, there are so many things I could have done that I just wasn't there yet. And so, I would change some things there.
Absolutely. That's a good answer. What is your biggest life-changing event? Man, Maddie really was just...
Maddie got it going.
Shout out, man. She really helped make this
I'm going to have to go out to dinner with her.
She says, what's your biggest life-changing event?
My biggest life-changing event is I lost my best friend in a car accident when I was 17 and or just turned 18. And that was a huge moment in my life and a huge turn in my life that of course I wasn't expecting it at that moment in life. I didn't know what I was going to do with my life. I'm in high school, finishing up my senior year, And yeah, it was definitely sent me down a dark path for a little bit. And it also taught me to always cherish moments with people, and sent me in a direction of, for a long time there, I was living for both of us. Right. And I went to school and said, you know, I'm going to do this for both of us. And I think, although it's a tragedy that it happened and I wish that she was still here, she has motivated me. Since that moment, I have been motivated by her to this day.
I remember that day like it was yesterday.
Yep.
Where I was, everything, absolutely.
Yep.
And when you're that age too, that's such a tough age, because you're old enough to understand it, but you're also still so young.
Right.
You know? So I definitely, that's a tough age for you. I mean, it's tough any age, but
right.
That's such an impressionable age, and such a, the world is, you got the whole world ahead of you, so it is, it's tough. I remember that.
Yep.
To lighten things up for the final question, and this person wants to remain anonymous, says, does a sandwich taste better if you make it or if someone else makes it?
I make the best sandwiches.
Even for yourself?
Yes. But I will say my dad makes them better than me. So if he makes it, it's going to taste better. But I make banging subs.
I think my thing is, I've always told my fiance she makes better sandwiches than me. And I believe it, but I think it's because I was lazy and I used to tell her that so that she would make them. And I think at this point in life, I've said it so many times I started to believe it. But either way, I'm of the someone else camp, I think.
Someone else.
Yeah. And then my mom's always made like the best grilled cheeses and sandwiches. So
yes.
I wish I had that confidence. I think my sandwiches kind of suck.
I like to cook. So, I mean, I like making stuff. It's my little outlet.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, so as we arrive at the end of the birthday cast, I've asked you so many questions. So I only have one more, and that's, what would you say to someone that may, be interested in starting a business, or maybe interested in going that route? I know it's kind of cliche, but what's just some simple advice from someone that's been from the beginning to now? What would you tell them?
A lot of it's kind of what Joey talked about in here today. And, we have talks like this all the time with everyone on what leadership is and what it feels like. And Joey said today, what does success look like? What is it? But everyone talks about what it looks like, but no one tells anyone or says what it feels like.
Right.
And so my biggest piece of advice is knowing that it is going to hurt. I mean, there are times that it hurts and it is gut-wrenching and you feel like you just have someone stabbing you and you just don't know what's going on. And to embrace that as hard as it is, and to know that it's not always going to be there, and there are going to be great times. And something I have learned in the past year is the only emotion in business should be celebration.
I like that.
And that is a huge piece of advice that I have taken, and I love to celebrate. So that's some advice I would give. And being on the same page with your family, because there were many times that Joey and I were not on the same page during this, and we were kind of trying to figure out how we were going to make all this work and how we were going to manage this all. And we are where we are today because we were able to sit down and get on the same page and know exactly where we wanted to go, and understand what it was going to take to get there, and understand the sacrifices that it's going to take to get there. So.
And you got relationship advice on this podcast.
Yeah.
You got the best of both worlds. Well, thank you for letting me interview you. I always love.
You have to ask me the one question I ask everyone at the end, though: who I would have dinner with.
If you could have dinner with anybody on the planet, who would it be, and tell me why?
Okay. So my person, it changes, but my person right now, and you're talking about relationship advice, is we talk a lot about Grant Cardone in this office. And a lot of people would love to have dinner with him, but I'd love to have dinner with his wife, Elena.
Okay.
I'd love to have dinner with Elena Cardone and just talk to her about her side and how much she has had to sacrifice and how much she has grown and accomplished through the journey with him.
That's all. Well, that could happen. That's a goal. We're all about setting goals, so that should be on your vision board. Like interviewing his wife.
Yes. So
That's awesome.
we'll make that happen.
Well, it was so fun sitting in this chair, and it's so cool to see a video. I'm sorry that I had to be the first video guest you had, but
Ooh, I can breathe
exciting.
now.
I know. You
Is
did
it
so
over?
good. Yeah, I think that wraps it up. But, thank you so much for letting me host.
Yeah, well, thank you for doing this, and thank you to everyone that submitted these questions, and
Absolutely.
it's pretty awesome. And thank you guys for listening today, and I'm happy to see another year and excited for what's ahead. And again, thank you for listening to the Rogers Radio Podcast. We will talk to you next week.
Tell Alyssa happy birthday in the comments.
Happy birthday to me.